Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Miami Heat get the victory in Boston 109-103. Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals was all over the place, man. All over the place. You had big blowouts. You had tight games. You had injuries that looked like guys were going to be out for the season. You had those same guys coming back being just fine. It was a lot of weird stuff going on. And I tell you, this is not the game you want to place a wager on or bet on. Heck no. No, 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 no. No, no. So the Boston Celtics missed Robert Williams quite a bit out there. We're going to start there. They missed him more so in a sense that they had to shorten their rotation and they leaned them on, a few players tonight. Kind of how I thought they were game planning the previous game when I thought everybody was actually going to be out, when they actually had everybody available, confusing as it's been. But this was the game where they actually had to do what it is that I thought they were going to have to do for game 2. So, yeah, that's what it was. They leaned on about 5 players, and, that just left them without a whole lot of bench production, without a whole lot of scoring production. And that's kind of what it was. Now you talk about what actually took place. The Miami Heat. Legend has it, Victor Oladipo is stealing the ball from Jaylen Brown somewhere right now. Believe it or not, he's still getting stripped. Jaylen's gonna be having nightmares of Victor Oladipo stripping him of the basketball. You have a night where you score 40 points, you only brick 7 shots, but you turn the ball over 7 times, and just about all of them are forced. Like all of them are strips. It gets to a point where it messes with your confidence. You like, am I playing well? Am I not? I don't know, but that's kind of how that was going for Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum had a horrible night. He was having one of those bad shooting nights for Jason Tatum, which is why I always tell people that as much as I like Jason Tatum, I do not rely upon him to be a consistent scorer for me. I don't look at him as a Kobe, Tracy McGrady type of scorer. I look at him as somebody who's very capable of scoring, but is more so all rounded, all full rounded player. How do you say that? For some reason, my words aren't coming together, but someone who's well rounded, someone who can give me a lot of everything. And because he gives me so much defensively, I can live with his inconsistency scoring the ball, which is really what it is for Jason Tatum for me. It's like if Jason Tatum weren't so prolific defensively, his offensive game would not carry him as a superstar, in my opinion. And a lot of people don't see it that way. But to me, this is why. I personally think that because he's such a gifted shooter, mechanical shooter, he tends to settle for 3-point shots and jump shots, and it throws his percentages off. He doesn't tend to make those shots a lot. And it's not because he's not capable of hitting them, obviously. It's because he does so much on the defensive end that makes it so that just automatically that's going to make him more so inefficient. It just works that way for some reason. So, I think it's one of those things where you have to have a give and take with Jason Tatum. Either he's going to be very, very gifted, giving you scoring on and really handling scoring on one side, or you're going to have him doing defense more so, and then kind of scale back some of that scoring. Because if you don't play it by feel with him and you just let him have the green light, he's going to have nights like this. And it's because he's not being utilized as for what he actually is, which is somebody who's capable of being a big time scorer as opposed to a consistent prolific scorer. You see what I'm saying? So because I see him that way, I want them to run things through Jaylen Brown more so, because I think Jaylen Brown is more of a pure scorer, right? Who happens to have defensive gifts. Kind of the great antithesis of Jason Tatum. I don't want Jaylen Brown being the spearhead of my defense, per se, as to where I can let Jason Tatum, with his length, be that for me if necessary. So it's one of those type of situations where I like them both together. I just don't think that I think because Jason Tatum's has such a superstar, big times, bright lights name, that I think people just automatically assume, okay, those type of players score. You have to score 40 on a big night every night, and we're expecting you to do that. And if you don't do that, it's a bad night. It's like, no, Jason Tatum don't run like that. Jason Tatum runs hot and cold. Some nights he's going to give you 30, other nights he's going to give you 18, but he's probably going to attempt the same amount of shots, and you're going to live with those results. And that is a problem. He has to scale back those shot attempts when his shot isn't falling. And it's on him to kind of measure that. It's on him to measure that. You know what I mean? And turn himself into more so of a passer when he's having those type of nights. That way. And then focus more so on the defensive end and rebounding. That way he's never having a bad night. You know what I mean? He'll never have a bad night. Because if it's not falling, there are other ways to attack. And a guy like Jason Tatum can be prolific in those other areas. So I'm looking at him to kind of get more balance in that way. And if he figures that out, he's going to be an MVP one day. As simple as that. But as long as he looks at himself as a T-Max scorer, he's going to have nights like this. It's that simple. That is not who he is. It's really not. All right, so off of that, back to the Miami Heat. We got problems in Miami because Jimmy Butler, that knee, I don't know. He went out in the second quarter, never came back. Inflammation in the knee, that's obviously a massive deal. So they're going to have to measure, manage him more or less. Manage that. If he's going to miss games, that's going to be tough. I don't think the Boston Celtics, or rather the Miami Heat, can win without Jimmy Butler. I don't think so. They got away with it tonight. A couple things happened tonight that's not going to happen very often, including 24 turnovers for the Boston Celtics. If you think they're going to turn the ball over that much, nah, it's not going to happen again. It better not happen again. It must not happen again. 24 turnovers. Listen, if you have 24 turnovers, you're not beating anybody. You can't beat a bunch of youngsters in a high school gym turning the ball over 24 times. It's not happening. And when you have 19 of them that are forced, obviously the defense deserves the credit, but you got to make adjustments. You got to make some in-game adjustments to shake some guys off of you, to assure that you don't have those type of strips. And that's really where it is. I don't know from there what you do, because I'm not a basketball mind like that. I honestly don't have a solution, but there must be one, because what you can't have is 19 steals and 24 turnovers. You must take care of the basketball. You gotta take care of the basketball if you're the Boston Celtics. That cannot happen. Also, I think Ime Udoka missed an opportunity tonight. Maybe there's a very good reason for this. Maybe there's something going on there. But Peyton Pritchard was 1 for 1. He's been hot lately. Unless there's an injury, there's no reason for him to have not been back on the floor for more minutes, getting more attempts. There's no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason for that. It's a head scratcher for me looking at his numbers. The only thing I can say is there must be an injury. That's it. Because you had nothing coming off your bench. You only utilized a couple people, and he didn't miss a shot. He only attempted one, and it's not like he's been struggling. So I don't know. I think that was a legit missed opportunity at probably about 10 more extra points, which is what you needed, believe it or not, because you obviously lost by 6, which is a dang good thing if you consider how bad they were down in that first half, man. You got to give the Boston Celtics credit. They surely left this game feeling good about themselves as it pertains to knowing that this should have been a blowout. This should have been a blowout. You turn the ball over a million times, but you still managed to only lose by 6 after being down by what I think was probably almost a 30-point deficit in that first half. It was really bad. But Miami Heat let them kind of get back in the game a little bit. Of course, when Jimmy went out, they can close the difference that way automatically, which should scare people if you're going for the Heat, because, as I said, they can't win without Jimmy. And that's essentially what the score told us. If they didn't have that huge cushion, there's no way the Celtics lose this game. There's no way. It's the only way the Miami Heat were able to win this game, in my opinion, is because they had that huge lead. And with their good defense, they were able to stave off the Boston Celtics. PJ Tucker needs all the credit in the world. He was absolutely amazing tonight, all over the floor, battling with Marcus Smart, who was also amazing tonight. I don't know who's been praying for Marcus Smart, but I tell you, I looked at his injury and it looked gruesome to me. It looked gruesome. I watched it twice and I scratched my head saying I didn't want to see that a third time. You know what I mean? And he came back in the game and was running around. He was fine. So I don't I don't trust my eyesight. I don't know if he has a double jointed knee, or if he's a fantastic actor. The way he was screaming in pain, I was buying it. So that was spectacular to see him come back and not be hurt. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, that was a head scratcher, man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know what's going on there. I would be lying to you if I said that I am 100% certain that man didn't literally sit down there and just fake an injury. Like, he literally, in front of all of us, acted. Like, just completely acted. And it's not like we haven't seen others do it before. We see many of his forefathers do this. But he dropped to the floor like he had broke his collarbone. I was sitting there like, I don't know where the contact was. He was, in pain. And as it became clear that no one was calling timeout, no one was calling the foul or whatever, it's like he went to the floor as if he had suddenly, a stinger had taken place or something, like there was a cramping in the area or something. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, your collarbone cramped up? Either it's broken or not. What are we doing? What's going on? And then he comes back into the game. Turns out it was a shoulder. And of course, Van Gundy pointed out how the same shoulder that he allegedly had hurt and was thriving in pain on, he was able to lead into a screen full force and bounce off of that screen without even grimacing. So, Jason Tatum, I don't have any bail for you there, buddy. I don't know what that was. It looked to me that you were having a bad game and you were trying to fake an injury to either get out of it or try to get somebody to call a technical or flagrant or something. I don't know, but this was yet another horrible game by Jason Tatum. And, if he continues his inconsistency, Boston cannot win the championship. The end. So that's all there is to say about that. I don't know, acting injury. Maybe he wasn't acting. I don't know. Maybe it was an injury that didn't hurt anymore. I have no idea. Maybe it was one of them Paul Pierce. These are Celtics. Paul Pierce with the with the knee that ended up actually being diarrhea. I don't know, man. Celtics do weird things, man. What can I say? Anyway, what they didn't do is win tonight's game, and I think that's a situation where the Miami Heat should be really pleased about that, because given how this game played itself out, you're not going to win this game very, very much if you're the Heat. You're not. Even though they had those steals and have those amazing number of turnovers your opponent gave them, their opponent gave them, at the end of the day, when you find yourself in a situation where you're up 30-something and you barely win by 6, a lot of things went wrong in that second half. One of them being Tyler Herro's shot selection, and we talked a lot about it at that halftime video. I know he's a young player, and I look at his NBA Finals and playoff experience with an asterisk, because obviously he was in the bubble, different environment, traveling, all that other stuff. But having the experience that he has, played into the finals, deep into the playoffs, you gotta see smarter shot selection from the young fella, man. I just think at this point, you want to see guys understand what winning looks like and what losing looks like when you have played as much basketball at a high level. You know what I mean? When you've been in the playoffs, you've been in the finals, you're one of the guys that's supposed to know, if I take that shot, it's going to cater to me losing. If I take this shot, maybe it'll help my team. Tyler Herro took a lot of shots that hurt his team tonight. And that's a bad thing no matter what the score is. When it's up big or down big, you can be a huge detriment if you throw possessions away. And that's what we saw Tyler do tonight. Now, I know he was struggling with some type of injury of some sort. Maybe it was messing with his mechanics. That's fine. But that has nothing to do with the shots you choose to attempt. And the shots he was taking, fall away, fully contested, early in the shot clock, just a lot of bad shots. And those are the type of things that lob the opponent the win. You know what I mean? And he's lucky to have gotten a victory tonight. Very lucky. His team bailed him out. He's supposed to come in and provide scoring, and he provided nothing but an opportunity for the Celtics to get back in the game. So I think a lot of what went wrong in that second half had to do with him not playing very well. Now I gotta preface that by saying the first half, because in the second half he did string together some pretty good things. In the third quarter he got a little better, but I think ultimately you look at that shooting percentage, you say, Tyler, you're one of the few people on this team that needs to score. You're gonna get the opportunities. You need to be the one that puts the ball in the hoop. But luckily enough, they had a little help from Caleb Martin. He was spectacular tonight, hitting shots, and of course Max Strus was hitting all kinds of clutch baskets. I talked bad about Max Strus, saying that he hadn't been playing well, saying that they had been featuring him unnecessarily. He came back and showed me why they have. His defense was on point tonight down the stretch, and his offense was on point as well, hitting big shots on the road, which has been my criticism of the man. Hit your shots on the road. You can hit them all at home, but on the road, it has to happen. And he was big tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that has to continue. If it does, the Miami Heat will win this series as I predicted. So Max Strus definitely gets big kudos tonight for his offensive production. And of course, Bam Adebayo, man. This is what we've been calling for. Look, this is what we want from Bam. I know what he can do. 31 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals. I know what he can do. That's not surprising to me at all. That's the offensive production he should have been giving us at this point, 5, 6, 7 years, however many years it is down the road. When we saw this kid putting up almost triple doubles as a second-year player, and you trying to tell me he can't even put up 12, 13 points in the Eastern Conference Finals? No, that's a systematic failure. They need to put that kid back in positions to do what it is that he naturally does, which is contribute to both sides of the floor. Just as much as Jason Tatum is considered an offensive player, so should Bam Adebayo. Do you understand what I'm saying? The exact same thing. I don't look at Jason Tatum as a scorer like that, and I don't look at Bam Adebayo as a scorer like that. But both of them can give me plenty on the offensive end. The difference is Bam isn't utilized at all on the offensive end, and Jason Tatum is overused on the offensive end. That is the difference. And no, they don't have the same skill sets, of course not. But what I'm telling you is, regardless of skill sets, the amount of input on that side of the ball should be represented from both of those players, who I think are star caliber players, both of them. So, and they've already made all-star teams, both of them have. So at this point, just there's balance to be found there on both of those players. And I think Bam was able to give us a little bit of what he can give us every night. This is what he can do every night. He just got to take the cuffs off the man. Let him score. So that was what's up. That him getting, 12 early points in the first quarter, they can get that every night. You know how easy it is for a guy that size to get that kind of production when you feed him the ball? It's not hard. And most importantly, it draws fouls. You know, we're in this three-point shooting era. I'm not mad at it. But what it doesn't do is draw as many fouls, man. You get the ball on the inside, you have someone who's attacking that rim, them guys are going to be sitting down, man. And that's what it's all about. So I think they did a good job of utilizing Bam tonight. And I don't think they should get away from it. I kind of expect them to, because this isn't who they are necessarily, and adjustments will be made. But Bam needs to be utilized early and often if they're going to win this series. So, Jaylen Brown with 40 points. Ain't going to remember a single one of those points. All I'm going to see is Victor Oladipo swiping the ball away from him. Every time I think about this game, it's going to be swipe after swipe after swipe after swipe. Everybody had 4 steals tonight. You name it, they had 4 steals. Look at the name. Yeah, he had 4 steals. That guy had 4 steals. It was really ridiculous how many steals the Miami Heat were able to force this evening. Franchise record 19 in the playoffs for their team, I believe it is. And Boston Celtics, man, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? 24 turnovers. Nah, that's not gonna cut it, man. That's not going to cut it. I respect the Miami Heat as a fantastic defensive team. I've given them more credit as a defensive team than I think any other pundits I've listened to. And even I don't think they're that. They're not that. 19 steals is not that. You had to have given them the ball in a couple of possessions, and that's exactly what I saw. Stop being pedestrian with the basketball. And mind you this, the Miami Heat on the flip side, keep pressuring them. Force them to do just that. Force them to turn into better ball handlers. If they can't do that, take it from them. You know, I think Victor Oladipo needs to be utilized more. Did his scoring happen tonight? No, he didn't have scoring tonight. But what he did was take the ball. And not only that, but he was also taking their hearts, because every time he stole it, their shoulders slumped a little bit more. The crowd sighed a little bit more. And situations like that on the road matter so very much. So, I like what Spoelstra did, calling up Caleb Martin and Victor Oladipo for more minutes. Obviously, those guys are going to be leaned upon a great deal with Jimmy's status now in question. We're going to be looking forward to another game in Boston. We obviously expect the Boston Celtics to have a chip on their shoulder about how things went tonight. Clearly, Jason Tatum should be coming back firing. Given that he's hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold, you can expect him to go for 50 in the next one. This is how this goes. What I'm going to challenge the Miami Heat to do is to continue to keep their foot on their throats. Do not let up. Because if you let up for even a second against this Boston Celtics team, they are a better scoring team than you, and they will beat you. It's not that difficult to see. The struggles of the Miami Heat are still present. They barely scored 109 points tonight in a situation where they had 1 trillion points off turnovers. They need to continue to play defensive basketball like this, or the Celtics are going to continue to have success in this series. This series is far from over. As a matter of fact, I don't even like the Heat that much after this game, given all the circumstances going on. But I'll tell you this. Kyle Lowry contributed mightily tonight. He was helpful on both sides of the floor. They needed his easy buckets and his assists. And if his three-point shot starts to come around, that will make a huge difference as well. So that's what it is, man. Not a whole lot of Duncan Robinson tonight. They're obviously not utilizing him. They don't really trust him defensively, even though I thought he made some pretty nice defensive plays tonight, believe it or not, in the little minutes that they gave him. All in all, it doesn't matter because they won, so I'm sure they're happy. Dwayne Dedman came in, did a couple things, had a charge call that I thought could have went either way. His foot was sliding just a little bit. It's kind of tough for big guys like that to get in positions and keep a steady, foot like a small person, to keep your foot planted at that size. Not the easiest thing in the world. Maybe we take that into consideration when calling those calls. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's put that out there. So that was pretty much it, man. That was it. It was just Steel City, man. It was Thieves. The Miami Thieves. That's their names. Forget the Heat. They're the Thieves. And that's what I got, man. Game 3 is a wrap. I'm glad it wasn't a blowout because it certainly was starting off that way. Good atmosphere in Boston, even though I hate their guts. I'm happy they lost as a Laker fan. Even though I'm pretty objective in this camera, I'm pretty happy every time they lose. And I'll make sure you guys know it. So that's what it is, man. That's what I got. The Miami Heat, 2 more wins, man. You guys need to take care of business. The Lakers got 17 championships. We just tied these clowns. We do not want them to get to the finals. We do not want this. It's PJ Tucker. I don't care if Jimmy Butler's out there or not. Bam, I don't care if they're out there or not. BDF 44 needs you to finish the Celtics off. That's all I got. BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.